Hello friends, welcome to this lecture. Today we are going to discuss about the atomic spectra of hydrogen atom. Okay, so you know that atom, it is the smallest particle of any element, and it is divided into two parts. That is, one central part is called as nucleus and another extranuclear part, and electrons are revolving around the nucleus in different orbits. Okay, so what is atomic spectra? Actually, before going to discuss atomic spectra, we have to discuss Bohr's atomic model. There are different atomic models: Dalton atomic model, J.J. Thomson atomic model, Rutherford's atomic model. Actually, that is a nuclear model. What he had done, he bombarded the radiations of alpha particles on the a thin gold foil, and he from that experiment he conclude different things. Okay, so and according to that, he conclude that atom consists of central part, that part is known as nucleus, and electrons, it is positively charged, and electrons are revolving in different orbit around this nucleus. Okay, so this is according to Rutherford model. So atomic spectra, which we are going to discuss, is based on the Bohr's atomic model. Okay, so you are familiar with the Bohr's atomic model. So what is that? Actually, this model is based on three postulates. What are that? First postulate tells us that three postulate. Okay, so first postulate tells us that the electrons, how hydrogen atom is composed of a nucleus, and electrons are revolving in circular orbit. Okay, so this is a hydrogen atom. It contains only one proton, which is present inside the nucleus. The neutron is absent inside the nucleus of hydrogen atom. Okay, so this is a nucleus, and one proton is there, and electron is revolved in this orbit. Okay, so according to Bohr's atomic model, the first postulate tells us that electrons revolve around the nucleus in a circular orbit, so that necessary centripetal force for revolving the electron in a circular orbit, necessary centripetal force is provided by the electrostatic force of attraction between positively charged nucleus and negatively charged electron. Okay, you know that charge on electron is negative. What is that? It is equal to, what is charge on electron? It is about 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. This is charge on electron. So electrons are revolving in this circular orbit around the nucleus. The necessary centripetal force, what is necessary centripetal force? That is equal to mv square divided by r. Okay, this is the centripetal force required for the circular motion of electron. Okay, so necessary centripetal force is provided by the electrostatic force of attraction between positively charged nucleus and negatively charged electron. Okay, so what is electrostatic force of attraction? That is given by Coulomb's law. Okay, so what that Coulomb's law tells us that if there are two charges which are separated at a distance r from each other, so it gives a force of attraction between two charges. Okay, suppose q1 and q2 be the two charges, they are separated at a distance r from each other. So what is the electrostatic force of attraction between these two charges? F is equal to q1 product of their magnitude, and it is directly proportional to the product of their magnitude and inversely proportional to the square of distance between them. Okay, that proportionality constant is given by 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon 0 into r q1 q2. Okay, so our this electron has charge E, nucleus has also a charge equal to that of electron. So electrostatic force of attraction between electron and nucleus is given by E into E, that is equal to E square divided by 4 pi epsilon 0 into r. Okay, so r, it is a distance between nucleus, center of the nucleus, and the electron. Okay, so that is given by this. Okay, so centripetal force is provided by the electrostatic force of attraction, and it is given by centripetal force is equal to 1 by 2 it is mv square divided by r is equal to e square divided by 4 pi epsilon 0 r square. Okay, so this is the first postulate. Okay, again second postulate tells us that, what is second postulate? Second postulate tells us that the electron revolve in those orbit without radiating energy for which angular momentum of electron is integral multiple of h divided by 2 pi. Okay, nh divided by 2 pi. Okay, so electron revolve in circular orbit in those orbit without radiating energy for which angular momentum of electron. Okay, what is angular momentum of electron? If electron has mass m, it moves with velocity v, and r, it is the distance from the nucleus of the electron. So mrv represent the angular momentum of electron. Okay, so angular momentum of electron is equal to, or it is given by integral multiple of nh divided by 2 pi. Okay, angular momentum of electron, it is quantized. Okay, h divided by 2 pi, it sometimes it is called as h cross. Okay, so n, it is called as, it is equal to, it has a value 0 1 2. Okay, 1 2 3 4 and so on. Okay, so this is a second postulate. Third postulate tells us that, what is third postulate? According to third postulate, electron radiates energy only when it jumps from higher orbit to lower orbit. Okay, electron is radiating energy in only in those cases for which, if any electron makes a transition from higher orbit to lower orbit. Oh, okay, so which is given by h into nu, where h, it is called as Planck's constant, and nu, it is the frequency of radiation. Okay, so frequency of radiation emitted is given by E2 minus E1. What is E2? E2, it is the energy of higher orbit, and E1, it is the energy of lower orbit, and that is given by h. Okay, divided by h gives us the frequency of radiations which is emitted during the transition. Okay, so these are the three postulates. This is third postulate. These are the three postulates. On the basis of these three postulates, Bohr's atomic model is based. Okay, so we have to calculate firstly what we have doing for studying the atomic spectra. We have to calculate radius of the orbit first, and then after calculating radius, we calculate the energy and what is happened due to different transitions that we have to see. Okay, so remember these three postulates. First postulate tells us that electrostatic force of attraction between positively charged nucleus and negatively charged electron is provided by the centripetal force. Centripetal force is provided by this charge, this electrostatic force. Angular momentum of electron, according to second postulate, angular momentum of electron, it is quantized, or it is given by nh divided by 2 pi. Okay, so and third postulate tells us that electron radiates energy only when it jumps from higher energy level to the lower energy level. The frequency emitted by this is given by nu, it is equal to E2 minus E1 divided by h. Okay, so these are the three postulates. Now let us calculate the radius of nth Bohr orbit. Okay, sometimes question may be asked how to calculate the radius of a different Bohr orbit, that we have to see. Okay, now according to first postulate, we know that, what is that? First postulate tells us that centripetal force is given by, or it is equal to electrostatic force of attraction. Okay, so it is equal to 4 pi E square divided by 4 pi epsilon 0 into r square. Okay, if I cancel this r from this side, what I will get? It is equal to 1 by 2, it is equal to mv square, it is equal to E square divided by 4 pi epsilon 0 into r. Okay, so this is equal to v square, it is equal to mv square. If I take this m from right hand side to this left hand side, what I will get? It is equal to v square, it is equal to E square divided by 4 pi epsilon r into m. Okay, so this is a v square. From this first postulate we have calculated v square. Okay, now so according to second postulate, the angular momentum of electron mrv, it is equal to, it is given by it, what is it, it is equal to nh divided by 2 pi. Okay, nh divided by 2 pi, this is according to second postulate. So if I square this term, what I will get, it is equal to m square r square into v square, it is equal to n square h square divided by 4 pi square. Okay, what I have done, I have squared both the terms. Okay, squaring both the terms, we will get this. Okay, now it is equal to v square. If I take v square from this term as a common, and what is remaining on right hand side, it is equal to n square h square divided by 4 pi square as it is. This is m square r square. Okay, so this is equal to m square r square. Okay, so we have finded v square from first postulate and v square from second postulate. If we compare these two v squares, what I will get, it is equal, I will write here, it is equal to e square divided by 4 pi epsilon r into m, it is equal to n square h square divided by 4 pi into 4 pi square, actually it is equal to m square into r square. Okay, now what we have done, we have equate these two v squares. Okay, now what are the terms which are remaining? This r square, this r, m cancels with this square. Okay, and this 4 cancels with this pi cancels with this square. What is remaining? It is equal to e square divided by, sorry, it is equal to, if I take this r from this right side to the left side, it is equal to r, it is equal to n square h square divided by pi, this pi, 1m is there, and epsilon 0 goes to the numerator. Okay, and e square. Okay, this is numerator on numerator, so it will goes to the denominator. Okay, so this is the what we have calculated, we have calculated r. Okay, so radius of nth Bohr orbit. Okay, suppose Rn represent radius of nth Bohr orbit, it is equal to Rn, it is equal to n square h square divided by, sorry, it is equal to into epsilon 0 pi m e square. Okay, so this is the radius of nth Bohr orbit. This is this Rn gives the radius of nth Bohr orbit. Okay, now if it is equal to, or what is it is equal to h, it is Planck's constant, epsilon 0 it is a permittivity, pi it is a constant, m it is a mass of electron, e it is a charge on electron. Okay, so if h is equal, we have to if we substitute h is equal to, what is Planck's constant, its value, it is equal to, h is equal to 6.626 into 10 to the power minus 34 joule second. H is equal to Planck's constant, its value is equal to 6.626 into 10 to the power minus 34 joule second. Epsilon 0, it is equal to 8.85 into 10 to the power, I think 12 is there, 12 pi 3.14 m mass of electron. What is mass of electron? It is equal to 9.11 into 10 to the power minus 31 kilogram. This is the mass of electron. E, it is charge on electron. How much charge on electron? E is equal to, it is equal to 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. Okay, so if we substitute all these values in this equation, so what I will get, n it is number, it is not constant actually. N it is a number of orbit, okay, in which orbit electron is revolving. Okay, if we substitute all these values in this equation, what I will get, it is equal to radius of nth Bohr orbit, it is equal to Rn is equal to, it is equal to h square. If you substitute these values, it comes out to be, I will write here directly, it is equal to 0.53 into 10 to the power nearly equal to 10 to the power minus 10 into n square. Okay, so it is equal to radius of nth Bohr orbit, it is equal to 0.53 into 10 to the power minus 10. I can write that as an angstrom into n square. Okay, so if this is a constant, so how I can write, it is equal to or it is proportional to the n square. Okay, so this indicates that the radius of nth Bohr orbit is directly proportional to the square of principal quantum number or square of n, okay, number of orbit. Okay, now if question may be asked, find if the radius of first Bohr orbit it is 0.53 angstrom, calculate the radius of second Bohr orbit or third Bohr orbit. Okay, what you have to done in that case, you know that radius is proportional to the n square. Okay, so if the first orbit has radius r1, it is equal to 0.53. so and if you calculate or if you want to calculate the radius of second Bohr orbit, so for that you have to keep instead of n, for calculating second Bohr orbit, instead of n you can write 2. Okay, so it is equal to radius of second Bohr orbit is equal to 0.53 angstrom into n square. Okay, it is a 4 times n square, n means 2 into 2, that is equal to 4. So 4 times this is the radius of second Bohr orbit. Okay, so question may be asked, calculate first Bohr orbit radius is given, calculate for second, or you can calculate for any value of n. Okay, so n represents the number of orbit. If electron is revolving first orbit, for that n is equal to 1, in second orbit n is equal to 2, and so on. Okay, so we can easily calculate the radius of nth Bohr orbit. It is proportional to the square of n square. Okay, square of n. Okay, so this is a radius of nth Bohr orbit. So after this we will stop here up to this video. In next video we will calculate the radius of energy of electron inside this orbit. Okay.